This video is brought to you by Aaron Clary, author of The Curse of the High IQ, all of our wonderful fans on Patreon, and viewers like you. Thank you.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
The movie business is just that, a business. The practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce. Except with movies, that commerce is entertainment. No matter what field your business caters to, there's one constant: customers. You need someone to sell to because if there's no one buying your products, you're not eating. The movie business is no different, no matter what they want you to believe, and more specifically, Star Wars is no different. The last few months post The Last Jedi have been a minefield of negativity and hatred spewed at the fans by those in charge. It's bad business. According to Jeff Bezos, the richest man on the planet and founder of Amazon, it's important to build a great experience customers will tell each other about. Word of mouth is very powerful. He's right, Word of mouth is very powerful. It's a pretty good album, too. Look at where we are now. Interest in Solo is lower than any Star Wars film in the franchise's history. It's not because people dislike the original characters. They came out in droves for The Force Awakens, and Luke Skywalker's return in The Last Jedi. It's because of how poorly the criticism has been handled by Lucasfilm. The Guardian put out an interesting article titled, "Is anyone really desperate to see Solo?" I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but this excerpt seems relevant. With Solo, the distaste runs deeper. Star Wars fans object to this movie on principle. Much of the controversy around The Last Jedi revolved around Rian Johnson's willingness to kill his darlings and make bold alterations to the lore of the series. In similar ways, fans consider Ford's portrayal of the roguish outlaw sacrosanct. To trade in Ford's craggy visage for a younger model is the equivalent of giving the Millennium Falcon a trendy new paint job and an obtrusive spoiler. Actually, they kind of did that. Blue, and it's got it on the front. Then there's the issue of the franchise fatigue. Solo arrives fewer than 6 months after The Last Jedi and is the fourth Star Wars movie in as many years after a 10-year wait before The Force Awakens. The novelty and goodwill that helped The Force Awakens and in no extent the first spin-off Rogue One has mostly faded to nothing, especially among fans who considered The Last Jedi sacrilege. There's no appetite for a new Star Wars film so soon, particularly given the demographics makeup of the franchise's fans. The age of the original Star Wars tales mean the series skews older than current superhero adventures. While the core teenage audience of the MCU think nothing of watching 3 or 4 near-identical movies every year, that's not true for their parents. For them, Solo, a Star Wars story, is not an event. In that sense, Solo's position is awkward. The film is too fraught with potential disgrace to appeal to its younger audience, who will follow its chaotic production online, and its early release could be seen as overkill by older fans. Solo can't win at this point. It may open big, but the damage is done to the Star Wars brand. Oversaturation is definitely a problem, but personally, I'm bothered by the mistreatment of the fans. Again, speaking of Jeff Bezos, I looked up some ways that businesses should treat their customers, and I found this list from entrepreneur.com. Number 1. Use the right term. First, don't call people clients, or even customers. Disney does this quite well at their parks. Hell, the whole list is achieved by Disney World itself. Lucasfilm just refers to the fans as the fans, and I guess that's fine, so nothing offensive, point to Lucasfilm. Number 2. Anticipate needs. A great waiter knows when to refill your glass or bring the check, just as a great company anticipates what their guests need, often before they know it themselves. First misstep here. Lucasfilm has allowed the creatives like Rian Johnson to determine what the fans need. We all wanted to see Luke Skywalker go on this great adventure one last time, but the hipster nihilist Ryan Roundheaded Johnson wanted to subvert expectations and give us something else. Lucasfilm failed here. Number 3. Give respect. It costs nothing to be courteous, but you can pay dearly if you aren't. Automatic fail. Number 4. Treat everyone like a VIP. There's only one boss, the customer, Sam Walton once said. He can fire everyone from the chairman down simply by spending his money elsewhere. Automatic fail. Number 5. Show immediate action and solution, not blame. Sometimes things get messed up, but apologies which matter mean nothing if they aren't followed by actions. Well done is better than well said. Automatic fail. Do I really need to explain the automatic fails here? Kathleen Kennedy says the films aren't for men. Rian Johnson says we're not smart enough to get The Last Jedi. And J.J. Abrams says we're intimidated by women. No respect, no VIP treatment, no immediate action, and no solution. Only blame. What's the solution for Solo, a Star Wars story? Doubling down in this weird political rhetoric. We're about to get into that. Star Wars has been held to such a high standard because for many years it was the franchise of franchises. You may say that Star Wars is just a kids' franchise, or that fans are being too critical and need to grow up. But you'd be wrong, because Star Wars isn't a kids' franchise. Kids' franchises aren't pushing sexual ideals, but Star Wars is. I'm sure you've seen this tweet from Jonathan Kasdan, the asshole son of Lawrence Kasdan. In it, he says, Sorry to have brought identity/gender politics into... Nope, not sorry at all, because I think the galaxy George gave birth to in 77 is big enough for everyone. Straight, gay, black, white, brown, Twi'lek, Celestian, Wookiee, droid, and anything in between. Hashtag droid rights, hashtag we are sentient. Besides acting like a smug bitch, the entitled John Kasdan is missing his own point. Star Wars does have plenty of space for everyone, but Lando isn't the character that needs to be made an example of to prove how progressive the irrelevant son of a writer is. So now we're in an impasse. Is Star Wars just for kids, or is it for everyone and marketed towards kids through the merchandise? It can't be both. Plugging odd agendas and sexual ideals causes problems for the fans. For me, it ruins Lando. He wasn't attracted to anyone but Princess Leia before this new film, and now he might be fucking a toaster or something. I just don't like established characters ruined for the sake of early 2000s politics. I feel the same way about this as people complaining about Hayden Christensen in Return of the Jedi. It just doesn't belong. One listener of the show went a step further because he's had enough of this, and this Lando news is the cherry on the shit sundae. In a letter addressed to Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, he laid it all out. I have never been a person who believes everything he hears. Rumors should be dismissed until facts are presented that support one. In this case, for which I'm contacting you, I do not believe rumor is the correct term. Over the last several months, my faith in the Disney product has diminished severely. At first, it was Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy limiting the Force to a single gender, alienating most of the Star Wars fandom like my 12-year-old son. Then with further comments from Miss Kennedy which are very sexist. I felt as though I was being personally attacked as well as my son. Furthermore, when The Last Jedi hit theaters, I took my son to see it as we were both fans of the franchise. The insult to our intelligence we received, as well as the insult to fervent fans, characters, and actors, was too much to bear. I left the theater Thursday of opening weekend, needing several days to process the visual garbage we had been served. Those of us who were very vocal about our displeasure of the direction of the film were met with insults by the director/writer Rian Johnson, as well as previous film writer-director J.J. Abrams. Personal attacks, name-calling, and labeling are not what I would call professional behavior. Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy offered no apologies to we the fans or chastised her subordinates for their behavior. It would be logical at this point to assume that she approved of their actions. These things alone have spurred myself and many others to boycott Disney Star Wars and all of its products until the leadership at Lucasfilm has changed. But then this week, a very disturbing revelation enlightened the original Star Wars fanbase as to the true direction of Kathleen Kennedy's ideology. In an interview with the Huffington Post, the writer of Solo: A Star Wars Story, Jonathan Kasdan, informed the world that Lando Calrissian is pansexual. You may not know what a pansexual person is. Many of us had to look up the definition. If you have not, let me explain that a pansexual is a person who is aroused sexually by everything. Everything is male, female, adult, child, animal, inanimate objects, trees, plants, kitchen sinks, and apparently in a galaxy far, far away, droids. This is not an exaggeration. This is disturbing to say the very least, that this character is one in a space opera that is meant to be family entertainment. Family entertainment. Am I supposed to feel comfortable taking my children to a film that not only writes characters who are like this, but when confronted about its absurdity to Jonathan Kasdan via social media are met with more insults from the professionals under the Disney umbrella? Mr. Kasdan has stated that he is proud to have pushed his identity into family entertainment. Proud to have pushed the idea that a grown man, be it fictional, gets aroused by children among many other things. I have to ask the question at this point, did Disney buy Lucasfilm to destroy it? I would have had to have asked the same question after The Last Jedi, but now I feel a further, more sinister question is validated. Did Disney buy Lucasfilm as a tool to sexualize children? You are allowing a woman that has stated openly that she does not think a qualified person, if they are male, should be hired by Lucasfilm. You have allowed a director to create a film that was made to divide the fan base, whose views are openly racist and sexist. You have allowed several employees of Lucasfilm to engage fans on social media in a hostile manner with labels and insults. Now you are allowing writers to push fringe sexualities upon already established characters from the original films that will influence children. Everything but the last observation is just poor executive management. The last observation is simply moral corruption. If your intention is to flush a $4 billion investment for the hell of it, that just pisses we the fans off. If your intention is to expose children to over-sexualized lifestyles, that is not only abhorred, but a gross violation of the public trust in a company that makes most of its products for children. I must ask you, Mr. Iger, why does this not conflict with the culture of Disney Company, or your personal morality? This has now gone beyond a simple boycott. I can't believe that a company as influential as yours has no inkling whatsoever of the many thousands of Star Wars fans who are completely disgusted by the ideological direction of Kathleen Kennedy. I can't fathom the shareholders being deaf or blind. With the revelation made by Mr. Kasdan that our beloved characters will not only become sexualized, but in ways that will stray well outside the norm of traditional sexual relationships for reasons of social justice, a boycott will simply no longer do. We the fans have no intention of allowing radical ideology to expose children to fringe sexual identities for the purpose of sexualizing children. As of this letter, President of Lucasfilm Kathleen Kennedy has again not responded to the statements made by those under her management, so again I must assume that she agrees with the statements that have been made. It is then by default up to you, Mr. Iger, to decide how long you will stay silent on these issues. Do we live in a time where Disney not only does not care about the fans or one of the companies under its umbrella, but allows it to become the funny uncle of the family entertainment industry? The time has come, sir, to fire this overpaid secretary and place someone in charge of Lucasfilm who not only cares about the franchise for which they are in charge of, but does not allow her subordinates to push their personal sexual fantasies upon the young, betraying the trust we've placed in you. In complete disbelief, a fan. I didn't publish his name for reasons, but this letter was too important. I had to put it out there. And now the backlash has begun. Look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores for Solo. Fan interest is at an all-time low. I keep seeing both the fan score and the critic score drop. I'm convinced that the critics are rating this film low in order to keep their credibility, because they are essentially paid off to praise The Last Jedi. I'm not saying money was involved, but something fishy happened. Fans are pissed and are not anticipating anything short of a dumpster fire. We asked our friends to send in screenshots of the availability for their Solo screenings, and here we are. You can see them on the screen as I finish out this video. Now, obviously, this is anecdotal, but it does show signs that things are changing and not in the direction Lucasfilm was hoping for. You want early excitement that's bordering on obsession. You want people talking about how excited they are for the film. And you want packed houses across the country. Solo has none of that. People are just fed up with the wars, and again, Han Solo is going to be used as the example for that. Bad business is just bad, but it's worse when intentional. Lucasfilm is deliberately pissing on the fan base. Kathleen Kennedy has allowed it, and the gentleman who wrote in earlier said he's fed up with it. In the words of Owen Hart, enough is enough and it's time for a change. Lucasfilm needs to cut the deadweight that is cray cray KK and start rebuilding with the fans. Or in simpler terms, Lucasfilm needs to learn that you can't shit where you eat. Have you noticed more articles talking about how we don't need this Solo movie and how people aren't excited for it more than ever? I mean, personally, I would have said that for Episode 8, Episode 7. We don't need these movies. The story's over. The story for Luke, Leia, and Han was over at Return of the Jedi. But we killed off Han, and now we're going to go back to the well to milk it for more nostalgia and reasons, and people are just fed up with it. I think Han Solo will go down in history as being the most exploited Star Wars character, and that's just sad. From a personal standpoint, he's my favorite character. As a kid, I always wanted more Han Solo adventures. I would read the books, and when he was the main character, I'd be excited. When he wasn't, I would just get to that part where he was the lead. I've just been a big Han Solo fan. And he's just been the one character that's been ruined. Could it be an attack on masculinity? Could be. There was an article out this week from, I believe, like The Roots or TheRoot.com talking about how Lando's pansexuality is an attack on black manhood. I don't know what's the case. I don't know what the decisions are. I can tell you that Kathleen Kennedy up in her nut house that used to be called Lucasfilm are really fucking up the franchise. And it's really, really sad. So tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you think about this letter. I felt that it was very important to share. We got tagged in it in the email, and I didn't want to give the guy's name out just to protect him in case some crazy person online tries to contact him or find him or hurt him or do something. But it's a real email, it's genuine, and it's sent to Bob Iger. And I hope Bob Iger or his secretary or someone sees this letter, because maybe Star Wars isn't as nefarious as he's saying, but something's got to be done about that woman. She is so underqualified for her job. She's not any good. The thing with her is that her name's on some of the best films of all time. But like I've said earlier, if we look at what she actually did on the films, she's like an executive producer where she's basically involved with the way the money is handled between the banks and the studios, not the creativity aspect of it. It'd be like putting the towel boy for a multiple winning Super Bowl team as the head coach just because he was part of the team or in the Hall of Fame or something. Like Kathleen Kennedy is the towel boy of the entertainment world. She was there, but everyone else was the reason why said film was successful. Kathleen Kennedy didn't make Back to the Future great, or any of the Indiana Jones films great, or E.T. or anything. By proxy, she gets the praise, and by proxy, she has the job she has because of the political climate we're in today, where there's this upsurge, and we have to get women in these roles in entertainment and change the way people act and believe and think. And I'm all for having women in roles of power if they're the most qualified person. It's not about what's between your legs. It's about what's between your ears, your brain, and if you want to get into it, your heart too. Because if your heart's not in the right place, just don't fucking do it. But her heart is definitely not in the right place. And her head, ironically, her head's in the right place, up her own ass. And so many other people are up there too. This Solo film is not going to change anything. And as I've said before, and I'm going to keep on saying until it comes out, make sure you hit episode 9 where it hurts. Don't forget about it and then become complacent and go see episode 9 in theaters because you forgot how angry you were at one point in time. Keep that shit rolling. Episode 9 is where you need to hit it. It's all about that movie becoming the failure, because that's when us, the fans, can say what we did is winning. We're tired of the weird gender politics and the weird social ideologies and all these things. And you know, we're also tired of the bad characters. We're tired of the poor writing and the poor directing and the rehashing of old elements and scenes and plots and all this other shit. That's where we gotta hit it. We gotta hit it with episode 9. We have to make it painfully obvious that the rehashing and the bad storytelling is what really hurts it. Because no one's truly angry that Star Wars has a female lead. Princess Leia has always been one of the main characters in the film. But Rey is a bad character, male or female. She's a Mary Sue. And if she was a man, she'd be a Gary Stu, or she would just be a shitty character overall. So make sure you keep this vitriol for episode 9. As always, thank you for watching this video. If you're a fan of this channel, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and share it everywhere you go. If you're a super fan, make sure you join the Patreon page and help us change things. Get involved with world-class bullshitters. The last few weeks have been really awesome, really huge for us, and we're going to keep this momentum going forever. Because we're not backing down, the shills are. If you haven't had a chance to check out the John Campea shill video, make sure you do. Thousands of people have watched it. About 50,000 people at this point, and it's only been up for a little over a day. So let's keep the momentum flowing on that John Campea video and all the shill videos at World Class Bullshitters. Because we're not doing any personal attacks on people, we're calling people out for shady business practices and lying to us. Basically, those people are advertising tools, but they act like they're fan. And you know what? That's fine. Advertising's fine. But lying about it isn't. Speaking of advertising, this video is brought to you by Aaron Clary, author of The Curse of the High IQ. And if you want to advertise with World Class Bullshitters, make sure you shoot us an email, worldclassbs@mail.com, thebestmail.com. We reach almost 500,000 people a month, and if you have an entertainment-based product, we're the right place for you. So make sure you come back tomorrow, because we're going to have a live stream with all of our patrons here on World Class Bullshitters at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be the countdown to Solo. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about Star Wars, your experiences, my experiences. Have all your questions ready. And if you're not a patron, it's not too late to join because we'll be posting that link tomorrow. But if you can't afford it, that is completely fine. Just join in on the chats. Hang out down in the comments section. Keep the theme flowing because we need everybody, not just the patrons. We need all of you to get involved and help change entertainment for the good. Thank you for watching, and let's hope that it's time for a change.